Hi guys, welcome to our channel. As promised, we are back with our placement interview experience segment for you on Friday. And before proceeding with the recruitment process, we have our own Telegram channel. So do make sure that you join it for anything and everything related to our channel. So before we post any videos, we share the links there as well. And also, if you want to get featured on our placement experience segment, you need to fill up the Google form that's also there in the description box below, and we'll reach out to you. Now, let's quickly move to the recruitment process.
You can get your dream job within 15 days with over 15 plus LPA, and that too with a free test only. So this is what Relevel offers. Relevel offers 300 plus job opportunities from over 50 plus companies. To register for Relevel, you just need to register for the test, take the test with your time slot. Then after you clear the test with 700 plus marks, you need to interview with the employee, then accept the offer. There are some finest companies here like Grad, Urban Clap, 1MG, Mishu, Paytm, CureFit, etc. So the person we called today has cracked 3 companies, and we will be discussing 2 companies in detail. Let's start with Cadence. So the profile offered by Cadence is software engineering 1. The CTC is as per industrial standards. The eligibility criteria is 9.0 CGPA till 7 SEM. Rest will be same along with ENTC included. Now coming to the online test, it was on HackerEarth. There were 5 questions for 1.5 hours. One was easy, 3 were moderate, and 1 was hard. Coming to the interview rounds, there were 4 rounds. 1 was telephonic, 2 were technical, and 1 was HR. Now coming to the second company, that is freshstart.com. It's a startup. So the profile that they were giving is SD1. The CTC that they were offering is 12 LPA. Eligibility criteria was 80 CGPA and above. The online test was again on HackerEarth. There were 3 coding questions, all were moderate level for 1 hour. And there were 2 technical rounds and 1 HR round in the interview rounds. Now, the things that we will be discussing in this today's interview experience is how to apply for off-campus placements, because both the companies that the person has cracked was off-campus. Then how your CV will get selected in off-campus placement scenarios, common CS subjects that need to be prepared for off-campus, how to put a research work in interviews, like you need to do a research before applying into any off-campus companies, mistakes to avoid it for face-to-face interview, and converting an internship into a PPO. The person that we are interviewing today has converted his internship successfully into a PPO, and how a fresher can get into an AI domain. So this will be discussing in very much detail with our guest.
Hi guys, today we have with us Pratik, who has cracked the off-campus recruitment process for Cadence Design Systems and is currently working there as a software engineer 1. Welcome to our channel, Pratik.
Thank you. Thank you, Sachita. Thank you, Devesh.
So before we move on, we would request you to give a quick introduction first.
Okay. So hi everyone. My name is Pratik, and I'm currently working in Cadence Design Systems as a software engineer 1. During my last year, I was able to get 3 placement offers. One of them from one of the offer is from a campus, which was offered by HSBC, a leading investment bank, and other 2 were from off campus. So the first was in the freshstart.com. It is a pre-incubation stage startup, and the second was the in Cadence Design System. So initially, I have offered a role of intern there, design engineering intern. Then I later converted to a full-time position after a successful completion of internship. So that's all now.
So guys, today's video is little bit different. We will be talking about 2 companies, one startup and Cadence. So we will go with freshstart.com first, and then we will move to Cadence. And after that, we will be discussing some of the few questions that many of you asked us personally, as well as Pratik as well. So let's get started with freshstart.com.
So we can start discussing with the first round, that's the online test. And if there's any initial screening that was applied, you can cover that as well.
Yeah, so I applied for freshstart.com in off-campus manner. The process was a typical standard process that all the companies follow. So the first round was online coding test, which was hosted on Hacker Earth platform. So there were three coding questions. All of them were from medium difficulty level, and at the time that they have given for us was 1 hour. So I was able to complete two questions and one partial submission, and hence I was selected for the next round. So the next round was technical interview one. So in this round they mainly focused on DSA, which is data structures and algorithm. I cannot remember all the questions, but there were some questions. So there was one question which was based on range-based queries. So we have discussed this question in depth. I have offered the segment tree-based solution for the question, and the interviewer was happy with that. Uh, then in this round he also like there were some other DSA questions also, and then followed by some DBMS questions. So they were mainly focusing on DBMS skills such as database sharding, normalizations and all. So I had a one project which is a website which we have created, and he started asking me questions on that part. So he started asking me the questions like, can you explain the schema of the database that you have designed. Then he asked me, let's say if I remove these two tables, and if I add one table, what would be the issues that you will be facing and all. So after discussing that, he started asking me some questions on what are the principles of errorless dependency injections, then followed by some functional dependency questions, and then he started asking me some SQL related questions. So he had a database with him, and he said that, okay, could you please write some queries to fetch some data. And then we had some discussions on normalizations and database sharding. So this was all for the technical one.
Okay. Regarding the questions that were asked in online test in HackerRank, so as you said, it was a medium difficulty. So what were the concepts like? It was a completely advanced trees, graphs, or DSA or something?
Okay, so I'm currently able to recall only two questions. So one of them was from the one of them was based on trees. So if I'm not wrong, there were two trees that binary search tree that they have given, and so the question was something like this. So we need to find out a number of pairs such that x plus y equals to key. So x is an element from the tree one, and y is the element from tree two, and such that their addition has to be equals to the key. So the naive solution was not working in that case. So if you just traverse one tree, and for every element you traverse other tree, so that was a time limit exceeding sort of thing there. So so I used the property of binary search tree and created two separate arrays, and used two pointer strategy to traverse one from the first and second from the last, and to able to get the answer. The second questions that there was a second question which was primarily focused on a fusion of sorting plus binary search. So there was like I completely, I don't remember the question, but the concept that they were testing was binary search followed by sorting. So for the technical two question, so for the technical two round, it was mainly focused on my projects. So as I mentioned that the company was mainly in the domain of full stack development, so that's why they started asking me the similar sort of questions. So there were some questions based on my project. They asked me some small system design questions to. So they asked me to, can you write object oriented code to design a vertical parking lot sort of system. So a small discussion over there on system design, like how I would create classes and what would be the effect overall. Then like after discussing that part, he started asking me questions on he wanted to test some computer network related skills. So he started asking me questions on what is OSI model, and can you explain all the layers. and then followed by some TCP UDP related questions. So he asked me where we use generally TCP and where we use UDP, then what is difference between these two protocols, and overall in-depth discussion over all these protocols in computer networks. So that was the technical.
So no discussion on your resume on the projects that you've done?
Yes. So yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, yeah, in the technical interview one itself, they started asking me questions on DBMS, and the questions were mainly focused on the project that I did. So like the
Okay, okay.
database that I've created and the schema and all. So
Okay.
So
Yeah.
only in first interview it was covered regarding your
yeah,
resume.
yeah.
Hmm.
Now we can move to HR then.
Okay. So HR round was more or less like a formality. They just wanted to confirm that I would be available for the role, and so there was some discussion over the job profile and like the location also. So she asked me to like do I have any plans for masters or any sort of thing later on. Yeah, so the typical HR questions were there, and the interview round was lasted for 15 to 20 minutes maximum.
Okay. Thanks for explaining it to us in that much detail. So we can now proceed with the next company, that is Cadence, where you're currently working as well. So if you could kindly guide us through the whole process as to how you came across this company and what were the different rounds involved.
Okay. So again, for the cadence, I applied in off-campus manner. So in this, like for this company, I was able to get a referral, and so I directly asked the hiring manager. So for the role, and so the typical interview process was there. So first round was coding round. So there were so it was lasted for like 1.5 hour. The platform was again the hacker earth. So there were five coding questions that we have to solve. And so if I talk about the difficulty level, so the first question was easy to solve, and the rest three questions were from like medium difficulty level, and there was one question which was sort of hard level. So here I was able to solve four questions completely. Like I haven't touched the last question because of the time limit, and I was like after some days I got called that I have shortlisted for the next round. Okay, so one important thing I forget to mention is that while applying for a off-campus manner, so there was a shortlisting process. So um, so Cadence is a sort of company which mainly focused on some research oriented skills. So since I have mentioned my Google Scholar research profile, where I have listed where I have listed my two of the research works. So probably that was the thing. So that I got shortlisted for the online test round. Yeah. So after the online test, I got got a call from recruiter saying that I have shortlisted for the next round, which was the telephonic round. So this round was lasted for like 20-25 minutes, and so it was sort of one way round where they were mostly interested in my projects. So they just asked me some questions like can you explain your projects and your research work, and we had an in-depth discussion over a call for 20-25 minutes. And then after this round in 2-3 days I got shortlisted for the next round, so which was a technical interview one. So the technical interview one was pretty much a standard round. They started asking me questions on data structures and algorithm. I could not recall all the exact same questions, but I will try to add some of the points that we have discussed. So there were some questions based on bit manipulations. These were some tricky questions, and then followed by so so interviewer started asking me questions on doubly linked list. He asked me to code it, and then he moved on the discussion like can you optimize this linked list in space. So at that point I gave him the XOR linked list variation, and he was happy with the approach. So followed by this topic, so there was some questions based on sliding window protocol variation. and then he started asking me questions on recursion. So he gave me a problem statement, like given an m cross n grid. Can you write recursive solution to calculate number of rectangles in it? So I coded the recursive version, and then he asked me to later optimize it. So at that point, I was luckily able to figure out the optimized variation using the combinatorics. And yeah, so that was all for the technical interview one.
Okay. This was the about technical round one. And again, question up here, the resume part. So it was clear covered in any of the previous rounds, like telephonic or
No, yeah, so we had a discussion over my projects and resume in technical two here.
okay. So we can move to technical.
Okay. Okay, so in technical two, the he started discussing my projects. So I had one project in AR domain, which is augmented reality. So there he started asking me that how we can manipulate 3D data on 2D plane. So so there was some discussion over ray tracing and image normalization part, and then followed by he started asking me questions on my research paper. So he was typically interested in my second research, which is the so he was typically interested in my second research project, where we have created our own XML image classifier for detection of any intrusion, and the application was in the surveillance domain. So he started asking me, can you derive a formula that you have used here? So in one of my research, I have used integral image calculation. So he started asking me on that part also. So after that part, after discussing my research work, he started moving into the OS related questions. So so we have discussed the questions such as the multi-level paging and how we can implement that. Then there were some questions on image, there were some questions on segmentation. Then followed by there was question on TLB, which is translation look aside buffer. He asked me to code it, like he asked me to, can you write a code snippet to implement the TLB part. Then he started asking me some questions on process scheduling, and he wanted to so yeah. So there after that he started asking me questions on process scheduling part. So he asked me to write object oriented code for round robin scheduling algorithm, and we had some discussion over there, and followed by some memory management algorithms like best fit and worst fit comparison and all. At the end of this round, he just wanted to test some Linux commands. Yeah, so he started asking me some Linux command related questions. For example, grep, tell, and find. You know, such sort of things. And that was technical too for this company.
So, you mentioned that there was a in-depth discussion on your research papers first. So, what I wanted to ask was these research papers that you published, were they part of your BTech projects or any mini projects that you took up, or did you take them
Okay.
up individually as you were interested in this domain?
Okay. So the first project, the first research project that I have done was already in the second year. So like actually so the main idea was to create an application to solve the live surveillance problem. So later on we discussed that whatever we have done, um, is like whatever we have done is a part of a research project. So what we have done is we have systematically implemented the process that we have followed by some observations. For example, what is the relation between stage calculation time and background processing time. So we started tabulating the result. We started plotting the graphs of the different reading that we have got, and at the end of the research, we have concluded some observations. So related to the CPU process time versus the stage calculation times of XML classifier training.
Okay.
So
Uh,
this was the part, like this was the first research project I have done in second year. The second research so the second part, which is the the second research project. So that was typical standard research sort of project where we have created our own algorithm to that will take a decision to buy or sell certain stocks and to maximize the result. So one important thing that I wanted to point it out, that whatever the research or whatever the improvement that you have done in your research paper, please try to tabulate some result, like try to add some numbers to prove that whatever you have done is worth of doing something. Yeah.
So these were part of your curriculum, right? Like you were told to make projects and then
Yes.
write a research paper as well. Okay.
Yes. So all of like both of these were part of semester projects. So after technical two, after 2 3 days, I got a call that I have shortlisted for HR round. So HR round was lasted for 15 minutes maximum, and she started asking me questions on some what are my some long term goals and short term goals. Am I available for the position, and is there anything that you wanted to ask specific to your job profile and all. So there I asked some, so there I started asking some questions about what would be the exact role, on what domain I should be working on. And so I cleared all the doubts that I have there. Then she asked me that do I have some plans for masters. So since that she said that you have good research profile, so don't you are going for MS sort of thing or what? So I said that currently I'm interested in exploring some knowledge in actual real world by solving some problems. And she said that okay, Pratik, then we can conclude the round.
Sweet. So, guys, we covered two companies, but there were many questions. Many of you asked us, as well as there are some juniors who want to get some questions cleared that related to off campuses and about the resume. So, we'll be asking these questions to Pratik, and he will give us an idea on about the off campus scenarios. So, we will start with how to apply for off campuses placements apart from your college placement.
Okay. So there are four things that you have to consider when it comes to the off-campus placement scenario. So the first thing is you go to a particular company's career page where you will find out that there are bunch of opportunities there. So you go there and you know fill the data and you send your resume. So that is the first approach. The second approach is that there are some hackathons which are like company specific hackathons where you can participate and get selected for the interview roles. So so that is the second approach. The third approach would be the hiring challenges. So on hacker earth platform you will find out that there are a bunch of hiring challenges which are continuously on after a certain interval of time. So what you can do is you can go there and you can participate in this hiring challenge and you will get an opportunity to be get interviewed by particular company. Okay, so the fourth thing is a referral. So for my second off campus scenario, what I did is I applied through the referral. So the general question is like how you should get an referral. So LinkedIn is the best site I think which is out there for getting a referral. So the what usually people what usually students do is they just spam all the LinkedIn connections for getting an referral, which is absolutely wrong way to do this. So what I should suggest is that while sending a connection request to a particular LinkedIn connection, what you should do in ideal manner is you should write a note, like while connecting to the connection you should write the note and mention your skill set, your area of interest, and what you want from this connection. So here in case a referral, and you just send the connection request to the particular potential connection of that particular company. So once this is done, um, again the second thing students do wrong is that they just write a personal message to the connection and saying that hey, I'm this and I want a referral. And this is completely wrong way to do this. um, what you should do, so in a way what you are doing is you are asking him to find a job for you, which is completely wrong, right? So what you should do is you should write a template, you should have a template, and where you should mention your skill set, your projects, whatever the website you have done, you should try to add the links, like the hosting links of if you have done some projects in the app, Android or iOS, you should add the um, Play Store links over there, right? And if you have some research, then you should add your research links over there. If you are someone with good competitive skill, you should add your the profile link over there, right? And after like this part is done, then most of the students are like able to do this part. The second important part which they typically miss is that they forget to what they do, like they forget to mention the job ID. So if you go to the careers page of particular company, you should find out that there is job ID which is specific to the particular job title. So you just copy paste that job ID, you just copy paste the description and designation of the particular job along with the experience, and you should add all the details in that particular message that you are sending, and then only you can go and send it to your connection. So by doing this, you are reducing the effort of the someone who is giving you a referral, and there is high chance that you will end up getting the referral from that particular connection. So that's all about the my strategy to tackle the off campus scenario.
Okay. And in that part, how you manage to make a your CV get selected in the off-campus scenarios?
Okay, so typically what happens is that so when it comes to the off-campus scenario, you will find out that there are thousands of resumes any recruiter will get. So what they typically do is they have some AI bots that will discard some of the resumes, and they'll keep some part of the resumes. So what this AI bot, if you go and study that how these AI bots are work, so typically they are looking for some keywords in your resume. For example, if you have mentioned that you have some research oriented profile, or if you have, let's say if you have mentioned that you have done, let's say XYZ sort of project, and you use ABC technologies that they are looking for, so they will filter your resumes based on that part. So generally what you should follow is that you should go and check that what company is doing, and you should typically maintain your like change your resume based on that part. So if they are looking for full stack development and you are trying to add your hardware related project, then you're not able to get that call, right? So you just go there and you just try to add that projects which are best suitable for them. And one more thing is that uh, so you should try doing this, that you have worked on ABC part. There was some XYZ typical process, but you have modified XYZ to some, let's say, another process, and by doing this you are able to get some good result. For example, if you have done some internship, then just mention that by adding this feature, or by changing this feature, you are able to uh, increase some revenue by X, or the speed up of that particular system by let's say Y%. So that sort of figures are quite important for shortlisting your resume in off campus manner.
Okay. So the thing with off-campus placements is basically the competition is 100 times more, right? So
Yes.
in such cases, your preparation needs to be like very thorough. And what I wanted to know from you was, are there any, if you could guide us through the preparation strategy, the subjects that people should focus on, and the resources that you felt, help boosted your skills.
Okay, so I'll cover the point that competitive programming versus problem solving here. First thing is I wanted to make on like so first thing is I wanted to declare that I'm not that hard competitive programmer. So what I followed is different. So I was focused more on problem solving skills. So what I did is I used the platforms such as LeetCode, Geeks for Geeks, and Hacker Earth. So what I did is I followed two steps. The first step is to filter out the problems based on the topics, right? So let's say if you want to study some binary search, you go and study the theoretical part, and you just add a filter, and you solve some 10-15 problems on binary search, right? So that you have some confidence that if any questions like there would be, let's say, any question based on this part, I'm able to tackle it, right? So this is the first part, that is solving the questions based on like specific to the topics. The second part is solving the questions based specific to the company. So on LeetCode, you might have seen that there is a tag, right? You just add a let's say tag, that if you want to solve, let's say, XYZ, the question that we're asking XYZ, you just add that tag, and you will get the questions. Well, one more thing is that so this sort of service is paid. on LinkedIn, but you can just go and you will find some resources on GitHub, where some of the students have they started writing all the company specific questions, and you can go and check out that part if you are not able to pay the premiums for that services, right? So in a way that will solve your issue, right? So you will get the questions based on company specific part.
So Pratik, I want to know that before proceeding for any of the company, like product based, service based, what research work you should need to put for the company before getting or accepting the interview or accepting the test.
Okay, so bunch of things that you need to worry about. The first thing is that what company does, and what project that you are doing, right? So there should not be a barrier, right? So whatever skill set that you have mentioned, or whatever skills or the the technology that you have done, has to be matching with the company does, what company does, right? So just go and search about like what company does, and try to match your skill set, or try to learn some things that company specific things that it does. The second thing I would say is that, so once you have done this part, so just go and check out the company's website. So you will find out that there are tremendous sort of information available over there. So what projects that they have been doing, or like what the skills, like what are the areas on which they are working, right? So you can, so by reading all this part, one thing that you are doing great is that whenever interview says that, do you have any specific questions for us, you can go and ask all the question that you had in your mind, that what company does and what you would be contributing to it. So, such type of the research that you should follow in order to before going for interview. One important thing is that, so there is a website called GFG, which is Gigs for Gigs, and you can go there and you can just add and tag of the company, and you start reading the technical interview experiences of someone who have cracked that particular company. That would be helpful for you also.
So again, once you receive the call and you clear the round as well, and about the online coding and all. So what were the mistakes that one should avoid while having the face-to-face technical interview?
Uh, okay, so what I have seen, like many of my juniors says that, भैया ये company में मैंने पूरा दिया but हो नहीं पाया. So they are saying that I gave my 100%, all the question that I've solved, I gave optimized solution in technical round, and still I'm not able to convert it. The thing that you need to understand here is that, so the so whenever interview ask you a question, so you explain him the way you understand us, the way you learn the topic, right? So let's say he asks you some questions, and you just gave him the approach or the solution the way you learn. But you are not supposed to do this. You're supposed to explain the solution in the way you understand the topic, right? So there is slight difference between learning and understanding. So typically, when you have good understanding, you are able to create any real life example, and you can go and just give the real life example, so that he will have some idea, right? So for example, if you just take an example of readers and writers problem in operating system, right? So let's say there is someone who is technically very sound. He started explaining that particular topic, in technical manner, right? So but what happens is that, let's say there was another candidate, he started giving a small real life example, that, so there are two friends who wanted to write something on a single page, right? And so one wanted to write something, and other wanted to read something. So the thing is that there should not be, so by doing this there should not be a good amount of synchronization, right? Or if let's say one wanted to write and other also wanted to write on the same thing, then there would be overlapping, and you are end up doing nothing at the end of the day, right? So so you gave him a small example, real life example, so that he have some idea that you have good depth, in depth of understanding of the particular topic, right? And then you start explaining the technical things, right? So like how it works, you start giving some technical examples, you start explaining some process and all sort of thing. So by adding small part, right, by adding the real life example, you had, so you have a better edge over others, right? So this is something that others have not doing, which is you are doing, right? So this is the first, so this is the thing that I really wanted to mention here, that when it comes to the technical interview part.
That's a great tip. One more thing is, so you bagged an internship first at Cadence, and then you converted it to a PPO. So could you also give tips on how to do that?
Sure. So, what happens is that when you're doing a internship in a particular organization, so there are two important things that you need to understand. The first is communication. So all the students don't understand what is the value of the communication. But when you are working in the corporate system, the communication plays very important role. So what I should suggest you that whenever you are doing an internship with the organization, you should have a good amount of sync up with your manager, right? You should tell him what are like whatever the things that you have achieved at the end of the day. And you should also tell him that I was like I'm not able to, I got stuck here, right? So what happens is that he should, guide you, right? He should give some, he should, maybe he would help you finding some better resources or something like that. So if you let's assume that you would have not communicated with him by, by, let's say you are something shy sort of personality or introvert sort of personality. uh, by doing this, there should be a great communication barrier between you and your manager, right? So your manager is the one who make a call, right? Whether you are going forward with them or not. So maybe communication would be the first thing. Second thing I really wanted to mention, highlight here is that don't be shy asking any sort of questions. So what happens is that whenever we are interning with a particular company, we are completely in novel environment. The product on which company works is, it is a very long process, like a couple of decades that they have work on that particular product, and you are someone who is a newbie and you just started contributing to that particular project. Obviously you will going to have a lot of questions, right? So like what student tend to do is that tend to shy, like whether I'm asking this question and it is like silly or something like that. So just go and ask any question that you have in your mind. They also know that you are intern, you are in your third and fourth year of your btech, so that they know that you should have some sort of questions and they are okay with that, right? So by asking some questions, the one thing that you are doing great for yourself is that you are not going to stuck on particular topic, right? So let's say if you have some task which you need to do in the 2 days, and if you are end up doing one day thinking like how this is working and all, so then you are just messing up, right? So by, let's say, if you ask someone, you are able to get that topic clear in the 5 minutes. So you just save your one day and you have a better age for that particular task. So just follow these two steps for the better conversions.
So coming to the last question, many freshers are interested in AI/ML domain. So how one
Okay.
can get into AI/ML domain with and get a good knowledge of depth from in AI
Okay.
domain.
Okay, so the first thing is I do agree that getting into the AI domain as a fresher is difficult. So typically, what happens is that a company try to, like what company do is they tend to hire someone who is experienced, when it comes to the AI sort of related roles. But there are some companies who actually take someone with as a fresh as an entry level, right? So few things that I would really I would really like to point out. The first thing is that you don't need to be veteran in AI domain, right? The AI domain is very vast, right? There are different subdomains, like ML is there, DL is there, right? So all there are a lot of information, right, which is out there. So what they want from you is that you should at least have some basics clear, right? So basics of, for example, you should have a clear thoughts of how gradient descent works, right? Like how we process particular data, what is training, what is testing sort of sets, right? So they just want you to be very much clear on this part. Okay, so apart from this, I would suggest you to go and watch Andrew Ng's his deep learning course, which is extremely helpful for me. And there was like another resource which is the CS231N, which is the Stanford University offered course for convolution neural nets. So you can go and watch all these free resources which are available on YouTube and other platforms.
Okay, all the things that Pratik mentioned will be in the description box below, along with his LinkedIn profile. So if you have any of the queries related to placement or stuff, and you want a discussion in AI or ML, you can ping Pratik on his LinkedIn channel. And also the books and the other links, resources will be in the description box below. You can go and check them out. Yeah.
Okay, then, guys, I guess it's a wrap for today. Thank you so much, Pratik, for coming in and sharing your experience with us. We really appreciate it, and I hope that the useful tips that you provided helps the viewers achieve the same feat as you. So, guys, we'll be back next week with another placement experience segment for you on Friday. Till then, take care and prepare well. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.